welcome to another edition of the Rare Book Cafe, the coffee break edition, actually. Good.
Well, I have water today, but I have a neat cup. So,
Well, it's still 7:30 in the morning where I am here in Hawaii, having a little vacation on the Big Island with my co-host Linn. Good morning, Lee.
good morning, Ed, and good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
Mary Vretas. We're so excited to have you here, Mary, because you're going to give us a different perspective. The last couple of shows, we've had booksellers on the show, and you are a book collector, I understand.
Yes, definitely an avid one.
An avid, and what is it that you collect?
I typically collect, my focus is Sylvia Plath. So works of Sylvia Plath. So I have a lot of first editions, unique printings. I'm starting to move over. I'm cheating on her and moving over into Ted Hughes. But and then also just first editions of books that I like. I'm a huge George Orwell fan, so as you can see with my little
I can see from your shirt. Yes.
And that's actually one of the books I brought with me today. But yeah, so just whatever I fancy, but typically.
And who's that little creature over your left shoulder?
Oh goodness, this is Lilith. She's not a book collector.
Hello, Lilith. Oh, she's welcome.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, one thing that I have, people who collect a specific writer, do you get to the point where there is something that you can't find or you can't afford? Is there always that holy grail that you just cannot add to your collection?
Absolutely. And I feel like that's why I've kind of, dabbled in Ted Hughes recently, because I kind of need something else to collect, because where I have gotten to in my Sylvia Plath collection is the Holy Grails are not affordable for me. I know the Holy Grail for me is the Bell Jar by Victoria Lucas. So the first edition, first printing, written under the pseudonym Victoria Lucas. But, one can hope, as well as the first printing, first edition of the Colossus, the UK edition. But both are out of my price range, unfortunately. So one can hope.
Maybe you could just collect bell jars themselves.
Yes, and I do have a few.
Oh, do you?
I do have a few. It's actually the first book that I got by Sylvia Plath and for my collection. I got it at a little bookstore. I came across it, and that's what sparked my interest in collecting, actually.
Another thing that book collectors do is upgrade. Have you found yourself always picking up a little bit better edition? And what criteria would you use in order to upgrade something in your collection?
Well, actually, I'm really glad you asked, because I did bring with me some glow ups, as I call them. I know I started the first year that I went to the book fair was back in 2012, and I wasn't really collecting. I just was kind of, blindly buying what I liked. And I had picked up this version of printing, it's a first edition, but not a first printing of Crossing the Water. I paid $15 for it, and I just bought it because I liked it. And then I started collecting Plath, and later acquired this, which is a first edition, first printing, and it is a review copy. So I have,
Nice.
yeah, and so those I actually purchased from the same dealer, Mike Brophy of Doyle's Books out of Fayetteville. I usually do business with him each year. So, but yes, I'm always looking for better editions, better dust jackets. I think next in the collection is I need a better dust jacket for Ariel. Looking for one of those. So, hoping to find that at the book fair this year.
How much fun.
Well, and maybe people who are listening will think, ooh, I'll take that to the book
They
fair.
can prey upon me, yes, because I will be looking.
Yes, that's right.
This may be an awkward question for somebody who's a diehard Sylvia Plath fan, but do you collect any Ted Hughes?
I do. And I wish I had it with me at my desk. I actually have the most recent acquisition to my collection. I have a beautiful, um, it's a special printing of Crow, and it is signed by Ted Hughes and Leonard Baskin as well. I love Leonard Baskin. I think his illustrations are absolutely gorgeous. And so, like I said, I feel a little guilty for,
Yeah, I
going
can
over
imagine.
into Ted Hughes territory, but Sylvia Plath has left me no choice. I can't afford it anymore.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Well,
What a
and you mentioned liking the fact that of the Leonard Baskin illustrations, and I think a lot of us do. One thing that might draw us to a particular edition of a book is who the illustrator is, and
Absolutely.
in the case of some, like, okay, say books like The Wizard of Oz or Alice in Wonderland, the variety of editions with different illustrators
Hmm.
is fun to collect as well. Uh,
Yes.
I just bought a couple that are illustrated by Barry Moser, and one of them was an Alice, and one of them was a Wizard of Oz, and very different from anything else that I've had in those
Yeah.
genres. So that's
Sylvia
another
Plath
way
led
to
such
go.
a Sylvia Plath led such a tragic life. What was it that attracted you to her?
So what attracted me
I
to
guess,
Sylvia
excuse me.
Plath?
I think tragic is probably a subjective term, but
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who is as brilliant a writer as her, there's so
Oh,
much glory to be found there as well.
right. I know. And she's a brilliant novelist and confessional poet. And so oftentimes, you're talking about her life, for those of, people who, aren't familiar with Sylvia Plath, she died by suicide. And I think oftentimes her suicide, as well as her relationship with Ted Hughes, eclipse her work. And I think that's really a shame. But what drew me to Sylvia Plath was I read The Bell Jar for the first time in high school, my senior year. It was on our reading list, and I just chose it. And I actually have bipolar, and when I read her work, it resonated with me so much, and I felt like I was seen for the first time ever. And I felt like, what she was saying, and the things she was talking about, it was like, wow, like, sometimes I feel that way too. And sometimes when you struggle with a mental illness, it's hard to relate to others. And with Plath, I found a lot of comfort in her work. And ever since then, it's been a love affair with her writing.
Is Sylvia Plath still on the reading list in Florida?
I actually don't know.
I sure hope so,
Um,
because if it transforms a life such as yours, I can't imagine why anybody would want to take it off.
oh, I know. There's so many. It really is. But I stand with the band. So
Plath strong.
yes.
All right, folks, you are listening to another edition of the Rare Book Cafe, the coffee break edition. This couple of consecutive shows, we're talking about the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair, and you could find some amazing booksellers there and amazing book collectors like Mary Vretas. Hey, Mary. Now, speaking of bipolar, I'm just going to change the subject a little bit. Not only are you a book collector, a book lover, but you are also an animal lover. Tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that part of your life.
Yeah, so I work at an animal shelter in St. Pete. It's called Friends of Strays.
Thank you for doing
Um,
that.
Yes, and so I've always had a passion for helping animals, and so I'm actually a program coordinator for our program Meow Now. So I work very closely with community cats. So you'll see me out trapping community cats, getting them trapped, neutered, vaccinated, and returned. So yeah, definitely huge animal advocate.
And you're a painter as well.
I am. I am. I do a lot of pet portraiture. That's my favorite.
Is that a portrait of your cat there on the wall?
Yes, it is.
Did you paint it?
I did, yes. The same cat that jumped up on the cat
Right,
on
yeah,
the desk. Yes,
yeah,
that's Lilith.
What's
yeah.
your share with the folks your Instagram handle in case they absolutely need, and most people do, an original portrait of their pet?
Absolutely. It's at M Vretas, which is my last name, V as in Victor, Retas art. So M Vretas art. You can find my paintings and contact me there.
All right, wonderful. Mary, how long have you been going to the Florida Book Fair? How many shows do you think you've been to?
So I have been to every one since 2012, so about 12 years.
Good.
So I don't miss one.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing you there. We haven't quite gotten
Absolutely.
in down to Florida yet, but we're working on it. Uh,
Ah,
Maybe next year.
so,
Maybe next year.
yeah, well,
I'll
now
be
that
out of
you're on
town.
the East Coast instead of the West Coast, it's a little closer, a little bit closer.
yes.
Do you have any ephemera from Sylvia Plath? Any letters, any documents, anything other than books?
Unfortunately, no. One of the things that I love most about the book fair is some of the things that you get to see. People bring some incredible stuff. And I one year saw it was an essay that she had written called The Mummy's Tomb when she was 13 years old. And it was just I have chills like thinking about it. And it was just so incredible to see this. And I know another interesting um, thing that I have seen is I guess this wouldn't be considered ephemera, but I found a book that was she had inscribed to a doctor, and I actually asked if I could touch it because she touched it, and they were wonderful, and they'd let me touch it. So I'm that girl.
Yeah. So we know about her, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things about the book fair is just some of the stuff that you get to see. You may not be able to afford it, but just seeing it is a really big treat.
Yeah.
Well, I have to heavily second your opinion. I love signed books. Just to imagine that the author at once upon a time held this book in his hand, and whether he wrote his name or inscribed it to somebody, and then the same thing with a document. There's nothing more exciting for me than to pick up a letter signed by Franklin Roosevelt, knowing that even though his secretary may have signed it, he read it, and his secretary may have typed it, he read it and signed it himself, and it gives me the chills as well.
It does. It's fantastic.
And books with inscriptions to somebody that you can figure out who that person was and wonder about what the relationship was between that writer and that person. All of that is I like the history of a particular book, especially. I
Yeah.
find that very interesting, or the history of a letter or something like that. So
Hmm.
we hope you find some wonderful things at the show this year.
Fingers
And if I
crossed.
can find that painting, I will bring it and
Absolutely.
add it to your collection.
I would love it.
All right, folks. Thanks for checking in with us and Mary Vretas. You can find her on Instagram at mvretas
Art.
Arts, and see some of the wonderful paintings she's done of other people's pets. And if you're a book dealer listening in, and you've got a Sylvia Plath that you've just dying to find it a good home, we're going to help you do that. Lee, take us out this week.
Okay. Thanks so much again for being with us, Mary, and Ed for
Absolutely.
interrupting your vacation to join us. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon with either another book dealer or a specialist in some area, or maybe another collector. And look forward to seeing people at the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair, March the 1st through the 3rd at the Coliseum in St. Petersburg. And thanks to the Florida Antiquarian Book Fair for their sponsorship of this program, as well as Biblio. So we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Oh, yeah, biblio.com. I keep forgetting that.
That's right. That's right. Bye, everybody.
Biblio.com, everybody.